From time to time, I used to like going on Grindr and indulging in hookups 'cause why not? We all be getting horny sometimes. Anyway, I began talking to this transgender woman. Let's call her Natalie. We both shared pictures together the night prior and had planned to do some sexy time at this park in her car early the following morning, on a Saturday. Grindr is notorious for hookup culture and or anonymous hookups, so meeting and doing something like this was risky, yes, but nothing completely crazy, as weird as that sounds. Most people on Grindr are down low men, or just bored people looking for connection. However, from my experience, most people are harmless as long as you trust your gut. Anyway, I pulled up to the park in my grey Honda and there was already one car there. The vehicle was this SUV with black tint, which had to be illegal because you could legitimately not see a thing in that car. I had a feeling it was Natalie or whoever was trying to pose as her because Grindr has a feature where it'll tell you specifically how close someone is to your location, and it adjusts frequently. But automatically, I could tell something was off. I told her that I had pulled up to the park. I don't quite remember what she said, but alarm bells started going off in my brain after she messaged me back. Something did not seem right in this situation at all, and I began looking around cautiously in my general area. Then she eventually asked if I was the one in the grey Honda. I replied yes, as if it wasn't obvious. Becoming more and more sketched out, I reversed out of my parking spot and reversed back into it so that I could fly out of there if something went wrong. Natalie pulled up beside my car and reversed in. Again, the window tint was black, and I could not see into the vehicle at all. No shadow, no nothing, just the reflection of my car. Soon after this, she messaged me, noticing my hesitation. I remember her asking what I was waiting for, as if to prompt me to get out of my car. I was already on edge at this point, so I texted her and asked if she could roll down her windows so that I could see it was her and nobody else. It was beginning to seem like she might be trying to rob me or kill me. I believe in retrospect, it was quite obvious, but at that time I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. She asked me why, and I told her that it was possible that she had other people in her vehicle that I might not know about and I didn't want to get set up. She replied that she was apparently skeptical of me and that there could be people in my car too. I began chuckling to myself in disbelief because, mind you, I'm in a small grey Honda with very little window tint. If at all, you could see directly into my car, and as I stated before, this whole situation occurred in the morning with the sun completely up. Me and everything in my car was completely visible. Anyway, we were at this weird stalemate and I just stared, peering at her pitch-black driver's side window for about 10 to 20 seconds. I waited for her to roll down her window or do something to give me some kind of relief about the situation, but nothing. I didn't even respond to her message. However, something in the back of my head told me if I get out of this car, I'm going to die. So I just shifted my car into drive and zoomed out of there. I looked at my messages, and she had blocked me immediately. I proceeded to drive, watching my rearview mirror almost every 5 seconds, hoping I was not being followed. What do you guys think? Has anything like this happened to y'all? I can't help but wonder who was looking back at me in that SUV. This story happened to me a few months ago. I am a 24-year-old female from a small city that contains a major hospital clinic where I attended nursing school. Because the parking is next to impossible, I would sleep at my best friend's house before clinicals, which are just like mock nursing shifts for students. My friend lives nearly a mile or less from the hospital, so it would be easier to sleep at his house and then walk or scooter there if they were around. I had walked there for months with no significant events. Granted, it was around 5 to 6 in the morning and would seldom cross paths with another on the way. One morning, I decided to leave early to get a head start on some of the preparation required. It was around 5 in the morning and I was about to leave while listening to a Let's Read podcast. I had my earbuds in and was trying to get my scooter set up with an app on my phone. Out of nowhere, I started to hear something that sounded like yelling. I took off my earbuds, and about 100 feet away, there was a man shouting mostly unintelligible things. The man was very tall, hooded, and dressed in all black. I could not make out a face, but he looked unkempt and scruffy. I was only able to make out one of the things he was yelling, which was, "My friend got shot out here." I started back walking because the tone seemed threatening. Then, he breaks out in a full sprint right at me, and I book it back into my friend's house. He has a Four Seasons porch before you enter the hallway to get inside, and by the time I made it into my friend's door, he was right outside the porch. He was 100 feet away, and it took him about 3 seconds to get that close. As I get inside, I hear more yelling, but I cannot make out the words, and then a loud pop, which I could only presume was a gunshot. I was frightened, but mostly like, what the hell just happened? I did not call the cops because I simply did not want to deal with being late. I have since theorized a couple reasons he would yell that someone was shot. 1. He was trying to lure by saying someone was shot and he needed help. 2. He was threatening me and implying that you should not be walking alone on these streets. I let my guard down because I had been on that street before and nothing had ever happened but ever since then. When we lived in New Orleans, we had a nice little 2-bedroom apartment. Just my girlfriend, now my wife, and I living together for over 4 years. The apartment was nice and spacious and came at a great price. We felt pretty lucky. I guess it's relevant to mention that my wife works weekends sometimes and I don't. That means sometimes I get to hang out all day by myself. That particular morning, I woke up early. Like really early, 5:30 a.m. It was a Sunday, and to no avail my girlfriend wasn't in the mood for my shenanigans. So I resigned myself to make some coffee and sit on my computer, lazily browsing the internet. It wasn't notable the first time, so I don't remember when I saw it, but in our little office space there was a closet. This was full of art supplies for my wife and cleaning supplies for me. The thing I noticed was, it was ajar, just a little bit, the smallest of cracks. I pushed the door closed without thinking twice and went to crack some eggs. Breakfast drew my wife out of her slumber, and as she ate, I left the dishes to soak and wandered back over to the bedroom and turned on the TV. She yelled bye on her way out, and it wasn't long until I was alone. I was barely watching TV and scrolling through my phone. I didn't remember falling asleep, but I must have. Dreaming of something chasing me, usually zombies or some variation. Something about the psychology of your friends and loved ones betraying you and becoming a threat always shook me to my core. My eyes snapped open and I thought I heard footsteps. I looked around and saw nothing. The clock said 9 a.m. She wouldn't be back this early. Maybe it was just part of the dream. I sat back and tried to play some video games on the computer, but nothing really scratched the itch I had. I glanced over and saw the door to the closet open again. Just a crack, just large enough for someone to see through. I thought this to myself and gave myself goosebumps. Then, shook my head. Nah, I'm not interesting enough for someone to hide in my closet. I opened the closet door to confirm my feelings. Nothing but a tray of paints that had gotten stale because someone forgot to put the caps back on, and a full vacuum that someone forgot to empty. I blamed both on my girlfriend and closed the door, closing it tightly, and even giving it a light tug to make sure. I walked back to the master bedroom to shower, and looking over I saw the spare room closet door open. Just a crack, just a small hair open. I had the stomach drop panic moment, and tried to shake it off. Again, who is going to hide in my little ass apartment? I walked over with the confidence of a high school jock in a 90s slasher, opened the door to the closet and met with nothing but Christmas decorations and my interview suit. There wasn't enough room to even hide in the closet if you wanted to. I closed the door the same as the other closet, tugging on the knob to make sure it was tightly closed. I then began to imagine what I would actually do if someone was in there. The answer is probably shit the bed and run. The continued normally from there. I made lunch, played online with friends, and just loafed around the apartment. My girlfriend came home and we made dinner together. As we were getting ready for bed, I remember the silly things happening this morning and looked over to see the spare room closet door open. Just a little bit. Just enough to watch someone from. I knew I closed it. I knew it couldn't just blow open on its own. I walked up and opened the door, expecting something, but found nothing again. I pushed the suit back and rooted around, looking for some reason. Am I going crazy? I thought about saying something to my girlfriend, but didn't. Every time I walked by that room, I checked, and the door was latch closed. It never opened. The other closet remained closed too. I checked other parts of the apartment, cabinets in the kitchen, spare bathtub, and master closet. Anywhere a person might hide. I never found anyone. I didn't sleep well that night, and woke up at the tiniest noise. Every time I checked, nothing. Doors were firmly closed. I finally found some peace and slept. That morning, I woke up and found the front door was open, just a little bit. Just a crack, just enough for someone to look in and see us. We moved across the country. We have a house now, and to my demand cameras cover all the entrances. I'm certain someone was in my apartment, but I can't prove it. My wife thinks I'm just paranoid and watched too many movies. But I know someone was opening doors. Thank you for spending time with me. If you have a true story you'd like to share, something eerie, strange, or unforgettable, send them to my email in the description below. clairetruestory@gmail.com. I'd love to feature your story in an upcoming video. Until next time, stay safe, stay warm, and stay cozy.